Hello, everyone. All right, so this is not going to be a long show. I just want to give some updates on some stuff and explain my rationale behind what I'm doing because I like to be very transparent with my audience because you guys have been a very, very good audience to me and you've offered me a lot of input about things. I have had 99% of the disagreements I've had with people who follow me have been very respectful. Um, Occasionally, I get that one, douchebag that says some shit that's kind of out of line and I just kind of unfollow them and go on about my day. I'm at that point where I've unfollowed and blocked more people in the last 2 days than I have in the last 2 years, just to be perfectly honest. So, considering the recent events on X, I've given this a lot of thought about how I'm going to proceed going forward. Shortly after I got here, I want to say it was during the playoffs or right after they were over, something like that. I went ahead and bought the domain name for thewarningtake.com. I did this because around the time I only had 300 subscribers and about 500 followers on 300 subscribers on YouTube, 500 followers on X. I wasn't entirely sure if I was going to stick with this. And then it kind of started to really take off and everything like that. And I did talk to a few people privately about giving it up, and they told me not to, that things were going better than I thought they were. And all that type of stuff, and that I needed to keep it going. So I took those words of encouragement and I I was able to carry those and keep things going. So it was also around that time that I was considering establishing my own website, that things were growing fast enough to justify something like that. Um, and if I did establish a website, I didn't want to just do the minimum with it. I wanted to establish a website that looked good, interfaced well, and was more than just articles. So, for example, I'm not going to name names because they haven't done anything to piss me off in a while, and there's no need to go after them. But you probably know who I'm talking about. And maybe they've changed. I don't know. I don't go on there anymore. I haven't in a long time. There are a couple of particular Canes related websites that chalk their articles full of URLs. The title is completely different than the subject matter. The picture for the thumbnail is misleading. And they do it for clicks because the people in charge of those particular websites conduct business that way so that they can make money. Make no mistake, I will be transparent with you. I want to make money off of this so I can put money back into it. And if I could have a little side cash with it, that would be cool. But this will never be my primary source of income. If I can make passive income doing it, great. Even if I did have enough viewership to make it my primary source of income, I would not do it. So, when I did announce the URL was bought, I gave myself a 2-year window, even though I didn't expect it to take that long. I'm definitely not expecting it to take that long now. I gave myself a 2-year window to get the website completed and ready to be launched. And I wanted it to be launched in 100% readiness. I wanted it to look exactly how I envision it looking, maybe a little better, maybe a little different, but relatively close to how I envisioned it the day that it went live. Now, I'm going to talk about some of the things that are going to be on this website, some of the rules and regulations that are going to be on it, and everything like that. And that way people understand exactly where I'm coming from, because one of the things that I try my best to do is be very, very transparent with everybody about how I'm going to conduct business with this website. So, I already was kind of uncertain about my future of staying on X anyway. And the events of this past week have kind of solidified that I want to turn that into something where I strictly share links. And I don't really want to engage in any interaction with anybody. On there, it's a little bit harder to avoid stuff like that because, for example, I've gotten a couple of comments on YouTube that I probably could have justified calling the cops, like 2. And I just hid their comment, hid the user from the channel, whatever the setting is called, the action is called, and I moved on. I also know, and this is a while ago, so I'm not really concerned with it now. I also know someone said something very threatening in regards to me in a certain Discord server. You know who you are. I know you hate watch this channel, and I have the screenshot. But I'm going to give you a mulligan, and I'm going to forget it ever happened so long as you don't do it again. Criticizing Rod Brindamore is not a reason to want to S my throat. Just saying. And if you want to talk about people who criticize Rod Brindamore, I'm not even in the top 10. Hell, I'm probably not in the top 100 within this fan base alone. Anyway, back to business here. So with all that, I'm not going to give people something to go look for in one of the internet's main public squares on X. I can easily kind of overlook that stuff a little bit more on YouTube, and I get more viewership on X than I do on YouTube at the moment. So here's what I'm looking at doing with the website. I want to compete with all the other major forms of Kane's Media. There are some of you that I don't consider competitors. You know who you are. Crazy Axe, Caniac Sessions, obviously, because I'm on there. Caniac Report, because I'm really good friends with both the Sams, even though only one of them does the show anymore. Sound the Siren, you guys are great. I'm not looking to compete with any of you guys. Who I am looking to compete with, Cardiac Kane. Kane's Country Vlog. It's nothing particularly against their content. I just don't see them as people that are on the same wavelength as I am. And when I say the same wavelength, me and Sound the Siren disagree about stuff sometimes. Me and my friends on Caniac Sessions, and we're friends in real life, mind you, disagree about stuff sometimes. Those of you who are in my group chat know we disagree about stuff sometimes. That's totally fine. I actually welcome healthy disagreement. One of the guys that I have planning on writing for the website, and I had a disagreement about Mason McTavish where he made excellent points about it. And one day I think him and I are going to have a public discussion about it if he wants to, because I think it's a good thing to talk about. The other thing is I seek to compete with the Kane subreddit because that place is a disaster. The amount of things that I said or that I saw that were said negatively about Jacob Slavin because of his speaking event at Liberty University were nauseating. So when everything that happened this week happened, I was already not in the mood. So there will be a refuge for those of you who want somewhere to discuss this stuff and not have to deal with the crazy bullshit that goes on the Kane subreddit. That's the main gist of the plan. Now to go into specifics here. First thing, the streams will continue on X and on YouTube. Links will still be posted on X. Links to articles, links to streams, links to the site itself will all be posted there eventually when all of this happens. The way that those are going to work, you'll have the ability, the way that I'm imagining it, it'll essentially be an HTML window where you can view the stream on either platform you wish, or it may just strictly go to YouTube. I have a Rumble account, but I never use it. I actually even have a BitChute account, but I haven't touched it in so long I don't remember the login for it. I think I may go strictly to YouTube for that. I haven't decided yet. That's going to be a decision that's made right before the website is launched. So there will be that. Secondly, articles. There will be written articles on the website with a comment section. That comment section will be moderated and regulated. I will explain further how that is going to work later. In this stream, I will explain it. Forums. This is where I go for the direct... Todd, I saw that. I'll get to you in a second, buddy. Thank you. Articles will have a comment section on them. Oh, back to where I was initially at. Forums and or chat rooms. Someone's talked to me about Discord. I don't know much about how Discord works. Like I said, I was off social media for 8 years when I started this channel. I had a Facebook in 2014. I deleted it. That's about it. That's all the social media I've ever really had, other than what you see me on right now. All three of the accounts I have, Adversary Air, Tomcats Hockey, are both public. So what I am going to do with those, I don't know yet. Adversary Air is on YouTube if that stuff interests you when I want to sit there and rant about planes all day, whenever I start posting more on that channel. That's going to be more of a summertime thing for me. I also have a channel where I'm going to post a lot of my sim racing stuff. There's a little bit on that channel right now too, but not much. That may change with the NASCAR 25 game coming out. So amongst those forums, it will not just be strictly Canes discussions. There will be other sports there. There will be things for other hockey leagues. So the American League, the E, the SP, the Fed. I'm going to try and overseas leagues. I'm going to try and have all that on there, so long as there is enough discussion and traffic to justify having them. There will be a prospect dedicated forum, for example, so people can talk about each in particular prospect. So you can have one topic about one prospect, or you can have a big mega thread about a particular prospect, a bunch of different things like that. And again, as I stated before, live streams of Landfall Hour and Damage Report at least. They will be linked to that website. I haven't decided if I get enough traffic, I may just exclusively have Landfall Hour and Damage Report on the website. So that way you just go straight to the website at the time and the show's on there. When I cannot do Landfall Hour or Damage Report or anything else like that live, the pre-recorded version will be there. So long as I don't use any NHL footage or anything like that, anything I want to post on the website, I should be good to go based on the research I've done, but I'm going to have some people who are more well-versed in that review it so that I know for sure. There will be an archive tab. So that way you can go back and view any posted article, any Landfall Hour, any Damage Report from any particular day, so you can reference something if you want to with the statistics that I tend to use. Merchandise. There, within the hamburger tab of that, I plan on there being a merchandise shop. Right now, the basics are planned to be shirts, hats. The Tomcat sweaters I know are really popular. I'm just trying to find a better vendor than the one that I used for the actual team, because I had two different vendors, or three actually. There was one I had that is now defunct that made the original sweater. Then I went to MLS, and then I went to another brand called Unify Gameware. And I'm just trying to find a vendor who will allow you, the consumer, to order that directly from them so you can get whatever name and number you want on it. So there will be some Warning Take merch, and there will be some Tomcats merch, stuff like that. I've got a few designs. You've probably seen some of the ones I posted. They'll be on there at some point or another. The shop may wait. I'll get to that in a minute. I'm not sure what else is going to be on the website right now, but that's the basics of it. Now, with all that considered, what I may do an under construction launch as opposed to the planned launch that I was going to have where everything was going to be in place on day one. Because after what's going on, I want to offer people some sort of refuge, myself included, to be able to go somewhere where you can avoid things like what happened the other day and get a strictly hockey related feed. Because as we saw this past week, that's not always possible. And that's not the first time in history it's happened. And the sad thing about it is it won't be the last. So I'm going to offer a refuge where it can be avoided, whether that's because the person wants nothing to do with the topic or they just want to keep that topic there and have somewhere where they can talk about the Canes and a few other things. There will be some stuff on there probably for the Panthers, for the Braves. Shut up, Apple Watch. There's going to be numerous things on there by the time I get the forum done. I think the forum is going to be the most time consuming part of things. Now, another thing that I'm planning on doing, and I'm just making sure that this is abundantly clear now, and I don't know how much it's going to be, but I will be charging a fee for people to be able to comment on the website, underneath the articles, and to use the forum. The reason why I'm doing that, and when I say a small fee, it's probably not going to be more than like, I don't know, $10 a year or something, or I don't know, just a ballpark. I might do like $2.99 a month. I don't know. I have to crunch the numbers with that because I do want to turn a profit, but I'm not EA. I'm not Activision. I'm not Disney. I'm not going to throw just slop out there and expect people to like it. And then if they don't like it, call them names because they criticize it. So that will prevent bad actors, or at least mitigate them, mitigate bots, and mitigate brigading and stuff like that. That's going to be the big plan. So that way we don't have to have comment sections full of people, haha, you lost, that watch 4 hockey games a year. Because that's already annoying enough, in addition to things that are more serious in the world that people are saying heinous and fucked up shit about as it is. Now, regarding the comments underneath the website, or underneath the website articles and what is allowed to be discussed in the forum, that is going to be regulated. And when I say that that is going to be regulated, I don't mean people's opinions about a game, or people's opinions about a player, or people's opinions about a team. It's when you start straying into stuff that's completely irrelevant. Like if you come on there and start talking about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift or some stupid shit like that, that's going to be gone. And after a certain degree of doing those things, that account will get banned. However, I have to work it because it's not relevant. That's one of the biggest things that the Kane social media has done lately that pisses me off. A good chunk of us who care about the team and the game don't give a damn if Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are getting married. Just don't. I don't care what Sabrina Carpenter is doing. I don't care what's her name, McRae Tate or whatever is doing. I don't give a damn. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who also share that same mindset. So I want to give something like that. Additionally, any political, social, civil unrest topics, anything like that, that's not going to be there. That's just not going to be there. Because I cannot count the number of times that something hockey related has been turned into an agenda on a place like X or a place like YouTube. And that's not what this is about. So I don't know exactly the specifics of how all this is going to go down. What I do know is that to some degree or another, everything that I just listed that I have written on this little notebook here is going to be a reality. It looks like I didn't write anything, but so this is where you guys come in. Anybody who has any experience in website development in particular is what I'm looking for right now. As far as people who are going to write for the website, I've already got a few on tap that are going to do it. And I will probably look for more later. I'm also going to look for people who I can give access to the administrative features, and I already have one in mind, AB, that are going to have access to the administrative features in the event that for whatever reason I can't do something. So at that point, when the website is launched, regardless of whether it's finished or not, I'm going to do my best to have it done. Like I said, I initially gave myself a 2-year window. Right now, I'm going to try my damnedest to have it launched before the playoffs start this time around. I want it to be some degree complete. But forum, comments under articles, and some degree of streaming will be on there. Because I'm just kind of sick of the way that a lot of things are. And I know that there's fans like us who just want to talk about the game and sports and, maybe some other topics that aren't psychotic. There's going to be a section of the forum dedicated to aviation. You might as well just go ahead and get used to that. But all this stuff is going to come to fruition at some point or another in the future. This has kind of been the plan for about 1.5 years since I started this. So now I'm just motivated to get it done faster and spend a little bit more of my own money if I have to. And that link up in the top right-hand corner, if you guys want to donate me some money towards getting the website started, that'll help it go a little bit faster. If you have it, okay. If you don't, okay. If you don't give me any money, I don't care. I will fund it myself to get it going. Just to get it started. Those of you who have been here for a long time, more than likely your first month or first year or however I decide to charge the money will probably be free as long as I can verify that it's you registering for it. How I'm going to go about that, I don't know. There will also be a website directly or a email address directly linked to the website so that people can send in comments, questions, all that type of stuff, and it stays separate from my personal email. because I've got a couple of those that I use for various different things. Like I have one that has like all my streaming subscriptions and stuff like that. And then I've got another one for my professional life, for work and all that type of stuff. But the place is not going to turn into Facebook. It's not going to turn into LinkedIn, and it's not going to turn into X from the past year. If one of the players gets involved in something that they shouldn't be, it won't be discussed there. You've got plenty of other places to do that. It won't be on the website. So that's just the short version about everything that's going to happen with the website. I have an idea of what it's going to look like. I have a very, very clear idea of what it's going to look like. And I have a very clear idea of what it's going to be about. I have even more of a clear idea. I have a more transparent thought when it comes to the subject matter that will be there. So I will see what happens with that, Todd. I'm going to get to these 2 comments, and then I'll probably go ahead and knock it off and get ready to watch the Panthers lose. Play. You're the only one who interacts with the chat. I try to. It's hard. It's getting harder to keep up with because there's so many people in it a lot of times now. It used to be I just used to have like the same 5 or 6 people in there when I first started out. I'm sure it's that way with everybody. But now it's kind of hard to keep up with them. And there's 2 reasons I don't want to do super chats. One, they're exploitative because YouTube keeps half the money anyway. And 2, if you're going to donate money to me, I'd rather keep 100% of it anyway, because it's going back into the channel in some capacity or another, whether that's for me to pay for the better version of Hockey Reference, whether that's to update my hardware, buy new equipment, whatever. It's going to be like that. And that's how it's going to be utilized. Todd Davis says, who's Taylor Swift? A demonic presence, if you ask me. Like, seriously. Like, I'm kind of at that point where I believe that. But that's all I've really got. I just wanted to offer some updates on how exactly that was going to work. And another thing is, though, anybody who's planning on writing for the website, I will ask for your first name and a last initial, or a initial at all, just so that way people know who, can put the article to the writer. But I won't ask you, as long as I know you, I won't ask to reveal your full name. I'm not going to go full on, evil editor guy from Spider-Man on you or anything like that. I just want to make sure that the topic is relevant, that the subject matter is relevant, that it's not misleading in any way, and it doesn't stray away from what the plans are for the website. As long as it stays within that criteria, that's all that's really going to matter. And also, I'll protect you guys from doxing, because there's some people, and I've seen it a lot since I've been on the app, but particularly bad in the last couple of weeks. I have seen some people with some of the things that they've been willing to say and do and drop people's addresses and stuff like that. Not saying it's right or wrong. I lean to say that it's wrong. I want to make sure that there's layers there to keep that from happening to anybody who ends up writing there. So there will be some rules about revealing personal information in the public forum as well. So I'm going to try to come up with a 5 to 10 rule sheet, 5 to 10 rules on a sheet that everybody can see in advance. So there will be that. There's a few other things that can be done. But if people will get like that over something that was as serious as this week, it's not a too long of a walk before people are doxing you because you said something negative about Rod Brind'Amour. I'm dead serious. Like I said, somebody already said they wanted my throat because of something that was not that big of a deal. You shouldn't have fanaticism like that over anybody. Get to this last comment here, and then I'm going to go ahead and bump out of here. Slumped, what's up, dude? Just got here. How's it going? It's going good, buddy. I'm just I'm getting ready to log off of this. When you guys go back and look, or if you go back and look earlier in the stream, I spent a few minutes talking about how the website is going to be. because I had the framework for it, but now I've got a much more detailed framework of what I want it to look like, because I'm just really damn sick of social media. But I've also worked really hard on this channel, worked really hard on the X account, and I don't want this to, I don't want it all to disappear just because I'm tired of things. We've built too good of a community here. And, you know, us being fans of a small market team, there ain't a whole lot of options out there. But I'm going to give you something different than what the other major players are offering you, something better. That's my whole plan. Additionally, one of the things that I have to look into, because I already know it's going to get DDoSed. I already know it's going to get DDoSed like crazy. And I'm going to have to find some protections against that. That's part of the reason why the streams will still be on YouTube. But anything not involving NHL footage, I'm going to try my best to just keep it on the website, or at least have it simultaneously streaming on the website and on here. And I may keep streams going on X, but I'm just kind of done with it. And it's time to take things in a better direction than where they are right now. So that's the long and the short of it. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you all have had a good Sunday. I hope you continue to have a good Sunday. Keep pounding, all that good stuff. And Slumped also says, I was going to say, be careful with weird people trying to take your website down. Yeah, and the funny thing about it is weird people trying to take my website down, I already know which particular sect of the fan base it would be. The ones that think that are in parasocial relationships with some of the players and then totally turn on them when they decide to offer their condolences to a grieving widow and her 2 children, young children. That's the type of shit that I'm just turned off by. And if you think that X is bad, go to the Hurricane subreddit. The only reason I have an account over there is because I know that it's inevitable that I'm going to have to go over there and defend myself from somebody taking something out of context, probably on purpose, because they're not very bright over there. I'm going to have to go over there and defend myself. I'll make one comment and I'll be banned. I already know that. And they're just as weird as the guys on X as far as their hypersexual, you know, idea of the players and their morals. And it's fucking creepy, dude. It really is. And anything I can do to mitigate that, I'll just be straight up honest with you. That website ain't going to be for everybody. It's going to be for people who want to come there and strictly discuss the sport. You start posting stuff like certain members of this fan base, like a certain couple of them said to me the other day, you're gone with no refunds. That's going to be that. We deserve somewhere where we can talk without having to worry about somebody coming in there and saying how they want to get impregnated by a certain player and how they'll force them to do it. Yes, that has happened. Or someone who has a obsession with Andrei Svechnikov that should get them a restraining order. All that's not going to be a thing there. Slump says, have a good night. I appreciate it, bud. And I stay off of Reddit. I can barely handle X. Yeah, I only go on there for, like I said, I've only got an account. I used to post some links and stuff. I don't even want to do that anymore. I can care less how much traffic I get from Reddit. I was going to delete my account. The only reason I kept it was because I know it's an inevitability that I'm going to have to go over there and, you know, say something to somebody about something that they said about me. It's only a matter of time until I say something about a player that they don't like, or I say something about a coach that they don't like, and then they're going to try and spin that into something that it's not. Because that's how they are. There's no critical thought there. And, you know, not to take a shot at the hockey writers, because there's a lot of people over there who do really good work, but they'll also hire anybody with a pulse. They don't pay them much. But they'll hire anybody who can, you know, stand upright and draw breath through their nose and mouth. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you later.